optimized, so to speak, because it grabs the data using the index. Obviously, if we narrow it down to one, there is not to one document, there is not going to be a whole lot of documents to aggregate. So we need to choose a different solution. All right, let's go back to DB. Actually, let's do CLS. CLS is the shortcut in the Mongo shell that's equivalent to clear in Linux. Okay. I don't know why we had to come up with our own, because typing clear is clearly too much. So let's see what documents we have, and let's see maybe a little bit better aggregation. db.movies.find. So we have year. Yes, year appears 4 times. So we're going to say find movies by the year. And we're going to say greater than 1974. That way it returns all of them. We're kind of doing that just to see that there is a filter, but it is not a filter of 1. Okay, great. With this, we get 4 results. Now we can aggregate by the year, except they're all unique values. Interesting. Well, wow, what could we do? You know, the Mongo shell is a JavaScript interpreter. So we can do a quick for statement for I var I equals 1, I minus less than 3, no, 4, no, 5, and then okay, yeah, before I do this, I need to do db.movies.find and pass it to a variable. So var the movies equals, and then I can pass this. Where is my this? Okay, then I'm going to do that 4 times. And I plus plus. And then I'm going to do x equals next. Movies dot next. So that X is going to contain the document. And then I'm going to say, gosh, why do I always choose to do something that I've never done before? Oh, well. Wait. Yeah, these are instructions inside here. So X is going to have the document that we're looping through. And then I want to, I just want to enter the same value, to be honest. Yeah, so I'm going to do db.update1 and specify the filter, and the filter is going to be underscore ID equals to x dot underscore ID. There, that should work. My goodness, I'm doing something that can fail in so many different ways. But if you don't live on the edge, what's the point? You have no fun doing stuff. And then we're going to do set. And then we're going to just say x1. All right, fine. And let's see if this works. Did I put, I need to put a semicolon. No, I did. Okay. All right, guys, I think this might work. No, it didn't. Darn it, DB update 1 is not a function. Yes, of course. It is not a function. I need to specify the collection. How come nobody pointed that out to me? Oh boy, it worked apparently. So let's go back to the previous. That's way too much to type on one line. Jan, I totally agree with you. And you should break this down in little increments, like, and we will do that when we get back to the aggregation. Thank you for the point, though. That's a very good point. So, all right, we're gonna go and take a look at what we have done, and we have set x equal to 1. I wanted all these movies to have the same values so that we could group by the value of x. So now let's go back and say something that you may have not seen before. So first of all, since I did something that the world had never seen before, I want you to get your money's worth and put this in the chat. Since it was too much to type, you can just copy and paste it, and you know that that is going to work at home. Now, what can we do? Instead of db.movies.find and specify the year, we can use x1. So we are, though, going to use aggregate right here, and we're going to say x1. Then we are going to do another stage, and this stage is complicated. And because of Jan's comment and her great contribution, we are actually going to separate all these stages. Whoa, that didn't work at all. Why not? So db.movies int. Oh, that is a very interesting question. Oh yeah, I specified one in a string. So this is very good. When you pass one without specifying the data type, it gets saved as a double. A double is a number, so you can find it by just specifying that. Thank you. I haven't had my afternoon coffee. It's too bad, too late for that now, so I'm gonna have to work through it without it. What I was about to say is that we need to copy these stages into variables of their own so that we can have just a succession of stages. So we're going to do let m for match stage 1, because we might have multiple in the future, equals, and then this whole syntax right here. Now, if we look at M stage 1, we see that it has saved that. And so we can do db.movies.aggregate, and then we specify the array, and then we put M stage 1. Boom. Same exact results that we had earlier. So let me send this to you just so that you can try it at home. And then this. And we're going to use this type of procedure to build the entire aggregation. We're going to do it one step at a time. So now I am going to add a grouping stage where I am going to group by year, let's say. And yeah, and I want to get the summation of all the X values. So given that year is unique, we're going to get a value of 1 all the way across. What we want to focus on is how to build a group stage. So we're going to call it let G stage 1 equals. First of all, you got to create the document with the curly brackets. So after the graph parentheses, you put dollar group, just like in SQL Server, kind of. In SQL is group by, we have group. Colon, and you have open another document. Now here, there are two important parts. The first is what you group by, which has to be called _ID. You can't get away from that. So thank you for letting me know that I can't get away from it. I'm just going to do it. Now you may be asking yourself, why can't you? And honestly, there is no answer. Well, there is an answer. We'll see it later. _ID is the field in MongoDB that represents your primary key, and those values have to be unique. So if you group, the values of _ID will be unique. So that's why it's called _ID, because you might output it to a new collection and you'll have your values of _ID already unique. So _ID, it's going to be the fields you group by, if any. So let's say we want to group by all the fields. Great. So we want to find the value of total. So total. We're going to do $sum of $x. Now, what is $x, darn it? Well, I could tell you, but then I would have to kill you. And yeah, that's not good. So I'm going to tell you without killing you. How's that? $x refers to the values of the field X. So it refers to all the ones. You're going to sum all the 4 ones, essentially. So it could have been put here as well. If you group by something, say you group by title, or I don't know what else you group by year, you would put dollar and the field number. My explanation is that dollar means the values of that field. So you put that dollar in front of the field name, and that is the case for whenever you're on the right side of the column. When you're on the left side and you want to specify a field name, you don't use dollar. Like when I had total, that was a field that I just created. But if I wanted to reuse one of the existing fields, for example, in the match stage, here we use X, not $X. So this was on the left side of the colon. Now we're on the right side of the colon. So we have to specify the values, not the field name that we're trying to specify. Any questions about this? I'm going to wait 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. So no questions. Then let's go ahead and save this. And this is a perfectly valid grouping stage. Let's see it. G stage 1. It's a valid document. So let me put this in the chat. Boom. There you have it. And now we're going to do db.movies.aggregate M stage 1, comma, G stage 1. So what is this going to do? It is going to go through those 4 documents that were the input. It's not going to look at any of the other documents and summarize across all 4 documents the value of X. So that should be 4. There you go. ID, it's an empty string. Total 4. We could have passed anything for ID, by the way. We could have said ID number 4. Boom. There you have it. Any questions about grouping? Now we're going to go back and change that 4 to a field. So we're going to use, we're on the right side of the column, so we need to use the $sign, year. Now we're going to group by year. Well, it's going to be a very boring since we have 4 documents and 4 different years, but we're going to do it anyway. And now we get that total of 1. But look at ID. Now we have that year. It's not called ID anymore, but it's called ID. But the values survived. What if we wanted to see those in order? That would require an additional stage, a sort stage. We're going to see that next, but there is a little more to talk about the group stage. First of all, does it make any sense? Chances are it doesn't make a lot of sense. So let's look at a different way of grouping. Let's say we decide to group by year and title. How would we specify 2 fields here? This would obviously not work. I mean, the syntax for the fields is correct. This is how you have to do it. You can create a subdocument. You specify a field, you call it year, and then comma, another field, title. Now you have a subdocument with two fields. If you want to group by more than one field, the underscore ID will have, can receive those additional values. This is essentially going to be the same, just with title added to it, unless I did something wrong and it's going to blow up, but I don't think so. Yeah. Oh, great. So let's go back here and try it. All right, so that worked perfectly well. You still have your total 1, but now you see that under underscore ID, you have the combination of year and title. Totally unnecessary because the values of year were already unique. So you didn't need to add that second field to get additional grouping parameters. However, if we go back and change one of the years to match a different movie, like if we change Jaws and we say, no, Jaws really came out in 1976. I mean, we don't have to be right about anything. So db.movies.update 1. And we're going to say update where year is 1975. And we're going to set it year and set it to 1976. And this time, I'm not even going to be lazy. I'm going to be specific about the data type. There you go. Bam. But before I can say bam, I need to close this parenthesis. Okay. Yeah, that should work. So now, if I rerun that aggregation, we should see something. The title is still unique, so we won't see much of a difference. Except now we notice that year 1976 is in 2 documents. So if we go back to the group stage where we don't have title, just year, question, could I specify like this? I'm curious. I think so. Yeah, okay. Totally unnecessary because now it's id.year, whereas before it would have been just year. Now you see though that at least there is some work done to aggregate that value of X for the year 1976. Any questions? It would be nice to get no questions, even in the chat, just so that I can move on confidently that you're now pros in aggregation. No cues. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate your contribution there. All right, so we have seen, well, there is a question. Do you have to specify number int? So the answer is maybe yes. Maybe. Why maybe? Well, if you want the number to be saved as an integer, yes, you have to. If you want the number to be stored as a number, you don't. But then MongoDB stores data in BSON, not in JSON. So it interprets that 1976. It sees that it's a number without a data type, and it's going to store it as a double. So now you have scratched a question that I am going to answer. What data types do we have? And to find out, the quickest way for me, or at least that I can think of, is to do db.movies.find and then specify the field name, I think, here, $type. $type is an operator that says that match this data type. So the data type for integer is a shortcut, is 16, but it's also integer, but let's use 16. Let's hit enter. How many documents are going to get returned? You may think 4. I may think 1. Who is right? I'm right. You're wrong. Why did we only get 1? Why did it not return the other guys? Because the other guys were probably added without specifying a data type. 2 is string, sorry. 1 is double. This should return 3 documents. Yep, it returned 3 documents. So these values are stored as double. They're represented just like you entered them. But the data type in the database is going to be double. That was a little extra. I'm going to give you this. Just so you can become a little more familiar with some of the operators. There is a ton of operators in MongoDB. So this is just one. Another one that I use quite a bit is db.movies.find year $exists true. This is very common. Oh gosh, what did I leave out? Yeah, apologize. Again, you know, that coffee, blah, 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 blah. All right, here we go. This is going to return all the documents where the year field exists. You would equally be able to do exists false, and you return all the other documents. Now, staying on the aggregation, here we've seen that we have aggregated 2 documents. So the 4 documents that we originally have now is only 3 documents, but that's perfectly fine. The documents that are getting passed to the next stage are these documents right here that we see. All the original information, such as fans, for example, or category, that's gone. We never decided to carry it over. We could have, though. We could have added additional fields to the underscore ID, etc. There is a field for adding new fields, but that is for calculating new fields. You can't go back to 2 stages ago and grab fields. At least I don't think you can. And that is a great question that we need to get answered. Can you go and get fields that used to be available 2 stages ago? I don't think you can. So, because the whole idea is that your input is the documents that the previous stage output. So let's let AF for add fields stage 1 equals add fields And we're going to specify a field that used to be there, like fans. Yeah, that's not gonna do a whole lot. Yeah, it's not even there. All right. Let's try passing just a string. Ciao. Now we've added that field. Now, did we add it to the collection? No, we didn't. We just added it to the fields in the pipeline. Does that do anything useful to us? Absolutely not. So we probably need to think of something a little more useful. And I say the something a little more useful is a stage that demonstrates some other um, operators, such as the add operator or the multiply operator. That's even better. $multiply. I'm, again, as usual, taking a chance here because I am going off memory, but I think multiply takes an array of values just like $add. In this case, we're going to pass the two numeric things. We have total, so let's specify that. And we have id.year. So underscore id.year. But not as a string, but as values. Okay. So is that syntax valid? It looks to me like it is. Let's see if all the parentheses are closed. Yeah. Well, let's give this a shot. Let's see if we can get that multiplication going. Oh my goodness, we did. That is absolute genius. Wow. I multiplied two numbers and I calculated a new field. LOL. Well, Jan, thank you. I am so happy that someone is with me. So we have been talking for a while. It's already 2 o'clock. My goodness. But we have gotten into three stages at least. And add fields is a shortcut for a project because it projects all the existing fields plus what you calculate. Let me show you the project stage, which is probably something that typically gets taught sooner than add fields, but you know, I mix it up. And let's do let P stage 1. So what does that P stand for? $project. And notice how I go back and forth between enclosing the field names or the stage names in quotes and not. And the reality is in MongoDB, you don't need to. But in proper JSON syntax, you do need to. So which is right? Well, you do it whichever way you want it. MongoDB will accept either. So $project, and here I'm going to specify in true MongoDB style that I do not want underscore ID, but I do want total. total and fans. So what is this going to do? I am sure that you have no idea whatsoever what this is going to do. I mean, this is so foreign to everybody that when you see it in action, you will be surprised. Not. So ID 0 means leave I_ID out and return only total and fans. So let's say we didn't want total. What would we do? We didn't want total. We wanted fans. We could do this. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Now, let's realize that there is, I don't know how many more stages, okay? But, you know, I can't possibly go through all of them. That would be, number one, boring, possibly. Hey, wait, we got someone new. Hi, Mary, welcome. And we have been talking about the aggregation framework. Unfortunately, you missed very good and fun content. But if you have any questions, please keep on following from this point forward. I have stopped putting updates on the chat, so let me recover a little bit, at least with this last one. Someone just walked in the room. It's probably my son. He's gonna sneak up on me, maybe. Now that I've said that, he will for sure. And then let me paste this. So you have something to work with. And the $1.50 giveaway for everyone present at the beginning. No, there was never any mention of that. I'm sorry. Okay, fine, Eric. I hear you grumbling. So I'll have CL send you $50. It sounds like CL is gonna go broke. It's his problem, man. It's his meeting. I'm just presenting the content here. So I was saying that we could keep on going with this business of adding stages. And since I've noticed Mary joining, maybe I'll add one more stage. And one that opens up a few possibilities, which is the $out. The $out is something that on Atlas you can use to output to a new collection or even to an S3 bucket. That's interesting. An S3 bucket connected to your database? Yeah, I'm sorry. We're not talking about that today. But maybe someday we will. So let's do the O stage one. So let O stage one equals, this is extremely simple, $out. And then I need to pass the name of a collection that I want to use. So I'm going to call it summarized movies or movies summarized. So it's going to be close. Movies summarized. Bam, just like that. It doesn't get any simpler than this. In fact, I think this is the simplest stage we've seen so far, except we could also do a lookup. Yeah, because that would be the discussion for joins in MongoDB, which is typically something that people wonder about when they're coming from a relational background. All right, so first let's take a step back. CLS and show tables. Oh, we got a bunch of tables here. And so we decided that we're going to create movies summarized. So let's add that O stage 1. And boom, nothing happens. Well, not so fast. Something did happen. We now have this movie summarized. If we do db.movies summarized.find, we get the documents. And notice that underscore ID was created into an object ID. Why? Because we had removed underscore ID. Otherwise, we would have used the underscore ID from the aggregation. See, this is what we had. Just a couple of examples before, we had underscore ID equals to this subdocument. That would have been a valid underscore ID value. That's unique. And so we could have had that, but we didn't think, and now we have a collection that has just that. Well, okay, don't despair. We can fix this because honestly, I don't want to have object ID as my underscore ID. It's hard to remember. I mean, I memorize all my underscore IDs, and after a million of these, my brain just explodes. So let's go back to P stage. P stage. Let's say we want underscore ID. What else are we missing? What was the other field other than fans? Total. We are going to turn this into a stage that doesn't do anything at all. It returns everything, actually. Fine. Doing useless steps is great. That's what all good developers should do. Add a useless step. I strongly recommend it. So now we are going to redo it with the new project stage that is completely useless. Now, let's go take a look. Okay, so we have 3 fields, underscore ID, total, and fans. And inside underscore ID, we have year, 1976. Okay, that works. I think that showed, okay. I do that all the time, have useless steps. Let me see if that was a recent chat or from 5 minutes ago. 207. Oh, yeah, it's quite recent. Okay, so I have uncovered that, yes, useless steps. I have uncovered that my audience is represented by people that do useless stuff. Okay, I recommend that you don't. Optimization of things is the removal of useless steps. However, this is not a consult. This is just a demonstration. So you get the point. Let me put in the chat the out stage. So let me go all the way out here and put it in the chat. And then we run the aggregation step, and then we get db.movies summarize.find, and you will have something there. All right, so now we got 20 minutes left. I gotta show you something that may or may not blow your minds. Okay, now that I've said that, the expectations are really high, and I'm for sure not going to blow your minds. Well. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to create another stage, match stage. Okay, let M stage 2. Okay, equals. Boom. And that way Mary gets to see the beginning. Although, no, she doesn't, because this is going to be completely different. Because here, I am going to put db.movies.find yeah, .find. Wait, let me see what fields we had. Okay. All right, I have complicated things by embedding year in ID. So I'm going to have to match underscore ID equals db.movies.find. And then I'm going to specify year 1977. And I'm going to just output just year. All right, so if this works, you guys should just pack up your bags and leave, because I would expect that you are confused. Great. What? Oh, redeclaration. Well, I was redeclaring it because there was that temporary error message. Whoa, what just happened? Huh? It's like I got a help. Okay. M stage 2. Okay, first of all, let's see if this works. Please work. Okay. Something is not working right. Okay. All right. So what I was trying to do was to create a match stage where underscore ID is equal to year 1977, essentially. And that should have worked, but it's actually causing a massive problem here. I am going to wow, that's why this DB, okay, interesting. Let me see if I can pass that instead of in a variable in the stage. So I'm going to copy this whole thing and then run my aggregation to add this. Let's see if this works. Now let's go to the state. Movies summarized, right? db.movies summarize. No. Summarized. Find. What did we just do? Oh gosh, come on. Show tables. Movies summarized. Movies. What am I doing wrong? Summarize. Okay, so it output the results of that collection, which was empty. So my match here didn't work. Underscore ID equals year 1977 didn't do it. So let's try to do something else. I tried to go a little bit too far with this one. Okay, let's try just looking at let's summarize that data. Let's remove this match stage, which return no documents. Let's output it to the summarized collection like it was before. And now let's try to do find and pass this. Let's see if this works. No. I think because yeah, that value of ID is not doing it. So let's do this. Where fans ID dot year 1977. Yeah, okay. That is something that crossed my mind, and I excluded it because I'm passing. This is returning year colon 1977. So I got to figure out how to build the syntax. Maybe I need to do it like this. No, So good suggestion, Jan. That that was good thinking, but it didn't work. Um, it is perhaps beyond what that example that I was trying to do can accomplish. And so we need to switch to something else. And I'm switching to um, doing fans, and I'm going to copy, instead of returning both the field and the value, I will just get the values. That way you can see that part. And so fans equals db.movies.find. So fans, wait, that's not db.movies, but it's db.movies summarized. So, fans. And then, oh, I'm going from movies summarized to movies. Okay, take it back. I'm going to look for the year 1977, and just return that. Okay, that's fine. But no, please don't disappear on me. Sorry. Okay, try again. So we're in movie summarized, so we have the field called fans. We want to look at db.movies.find the year 1977. Yes, this is fine. However, we now need to get just the value. So to do that, we need to change that to an array and fetch the first element of that array, and then dot year is what we want. Two arrays undefined. Well, I think I just got myself stuck here. That usually works, so why doesn't it work? db.movies. Let me copy this. Wait a minute. No, I'm looking inside movies. We don't have id.year in that. So db.movies.find. Let's just do this part. Let's see what it returns, because maybe it returns that. But it should, to array, it needs the parentheses. My bad. Okay. So let's go back to this, which also was failing. So that returns 1977, just the number, right? Because we are finding the document where the year is 1977, and we are outputting that document to an array. Then we're fetching the first element of that array, and then we're grabbing the value of year, which is a number. So that will be turned into 1977. So when we plop this whole thing into the db.moviesummarized.find fans equals, and we pass that whole query, it will turn that into a value in 1977, which works. And there is a document inside document summarized that has fans 1977. So it found a match and it showed it to us. When I introduced this, I made it sound like it was the best thing since sliced bread. It, to me, it's like a little extra piece that you got to experience today that you typically don't learn on blogs and articles. So it is giving you the realization that you can, in MongoDB, use subqueries. We did struggle with coming up with something for ID.year, and I am going to keep on playing it with it, and by the next class, I probably will know. Or maybe I will know that you can't do it. So it's almost 2:30 here, 5:30 your time. You need to move on. You probably have errands to run or things to do. So I really appreciate your time, and I'm going to hand it back to CL if there are no questions. Otherwise, I will first ask the questions and then hand it back to CL. Oh, CL put my LinkedIn. Oh, by the way, CL, I saw the little Santa's hat on the introductory. So I went and got my kid's Santa's hat, and here you go. Yeah. Oh, over the. Is there a next class? No questions here. Thanks for the presentation and all the new things I learned today. Well, that is awesome. The fact that you learned something is worth $1,000,000. So next class, I always tell CL that I'm more than happy to come and join your group. It might not be your next group. Okay, thanks, CL, but that is not necessary. However, if you do it, I'll say thank you. So I will definitely come back. We can talk about indexes and or more about aggregation, whatever.